And action, it is me again. This time, we're gonna go through some issues concerning marijuana usage. And we're gonna talk about some tobacco usage and the dangers involved in using tobacco as opposed to doing, let's say, smoking some marijuana. After I smoke this marijuana, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I can function and how less harmful it is than others want people to believe. So, I'm gonna take you on a little tour for those that have a weak stomach, for somebody rolling a marijuana cigarette with less dangerous chemicals than the tobacco companies put in their rolled cigarettes. You might wanna scurry along and go get lost in that world where they don't know anything about the things that surround them except for what some people want them to know. And those some people might be telling them lies. So if you want to know the truth, then hang around, stick around. I really doubt after I smoke this marijuana cigarette that I'm going to jump through a plate glass window and run around the neighborhood with a machete and hack up everybody, or I'm gonna go commit some crime somewhere, do something bad to somebody else, or anything of that nature. No. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna take you on a little tour. I'm gonna show you how organized I am, and I've done this after smoking marijuana. I'm gonna take you and I'm gonna show you how I can operate a computer effectively. I'm going to show you how I can go through some phony criminal files of where I have, in these files, police officers that lie, criminals that were set loose by those police officers that were used against me, a victim in a crime, and I'll tell you some other issues relating to what goes on in the real world, the world you don't see. So you need to see this part of the world where there's so much hype about the negativity of marijuana usage that we are now going to send police into our kids' schools and search through their pockets and get drug sniffing dogs in there and so on, because they might find somebody with some marijuana and turn them into a criminal. Let's just move to the next step, which is the rolling part. Here we go. Then I'm gonna put on some Lou Dobbs later. Here's the books. Take a look at the books, how nicely organized they are. Yeah, so I can talk about the subjects, as I have a lot of information about these subjects. This down here is all politics. This over here, this section here, is about the state of our world pertaining to our environment. Now, if we're concerned about things like this, saving the earth, we're going to learn these things that are taught in books like this, Earth Science. And we'll take into consideration things that have been out here for a long time, such as this right here, alternative energy source, dated 1991. We're now February 4th, 2009. And then we get into, do you really want to learn the politics of all this and the reason why, let's say, for instance, cigarettes are legal, although it is stated by Dr. Stantz in this little pamphlet there are over 43 known carcinogens that those are cancer-causing agents that kill people. But killing people is illegal. I mean, it's legal as long as, there's money going into the politics of it all. It doesn't matter if people are dying left and right. Here in America, the drugs, the chemicals, and all these things are permitted to be inside of those cigarettes. So politics is down here, and then we have the Third Reich, and of course we know with too much power, it corrupts. And what happens is eventually corruption causes self-destruction. So we don't want to head down that path of self-destruction, although we're actually on that path. It's not where we want to be though. Then up here we have social issues, all sociology, social problems, Things like people say, no, not my kid, that could never happen to my kid. Well, if we're telling our kids marijuana is dangerous, marijuana is going to hurt you, we should keep everybody a criminal over marijuana, but cigarettes are not. And what we're doing is we're lying to our kids and we're telling them that the other drugs we claim are dangerous are in the same bracket as, or same category as the harder drugs, the more dangerous drugs. So when kids try this marijuana stuff here, and then they say, oh, well, that's not so bad, and then somebody else comes along and say a very dangerous drug like heroin, they think, oh, well, that's not so bad either, since the adults were telling us, you know, the dangers involved in marijuana. Then next thing you know, you have your kid, who you say, not my kid, strung out on drugs. And your kid may get fairer treatment than other kids, depending on their, let me find the book here, depending on their place in society. If they come from a ghetto, a poor neighborhood, they're going to be treated different than if they come from a rich neighborhood. All the information's out there, it's on the internet. Every day I study, every day I vote. I think you should start learning how to vote. So we'll begin with this. We will begin with this. You'll notice things are organized here. I can find everything I want to find. Up with the camera a little. There we are. I can find everything I want to find. If I want to know where social intelligence is, this is a book about us and the things we should be doing. It's on disc, readily available to those who want to learn. Or the age of anxiety. It's right here. Or the third terrorists. We don't want to get into these issues right now. However, one thing we should get into is this book out here called Whose Freedom? Whose freedom? Your freedom, my freedom. Is our freedom in jeopardy? It is when people are giving us the wrong information that we need to learn. Now, one thing you want to learn about is the dangers or non-dangers involved in smoking marijuana as compared to the dangers involved in smoking cigarettes. Now I do both. Nobody says a word about me smoking cigarettes. If I get pulled over by a police officer, although these cigarettes contain 43 known chemicals that will kill you or could kill you or cause malfunctions in your body like diseases and so forth, they're not going to say a word about it. You know why? Because the politicians say leave those alone, those are legal. But if I do get pulled over by, say, a police officer and he finds a little baggie of this with barely anything in it, they're going to make a big deal out of it, like I'm going to jump through a plate glass window after smoking it and run through the neighborhood and hack people up. Anyway, so let's cut out the hype and let's get to reality. Back to this is the way we roll marijuana. In a factory, they roll cigarettes differently. And they also dump big, huge tubs of chemicals that kill people into this tobacco where they mix it all up and before it's actually rolled into a product of what we know to be cigarettes, of which I can go to any store and buy illegally. No problem. No problem to kill yourself as long as it's being paid for. Politicians are bought off, so of course, you know, they'll say that killing people is okay. Now I'm gonna roll this cigarette up, excuse me, this marijuana cigarette. And I'm gonna take you on a little tour and show you my other organized lifestyle and things that I'm attempting to organize at this time, which I'm working on some files that are very important pertaining to activities that are against social norms. This here is not. Only if you're told to think that it is against social norms because you don't do it and you believe the lies that are told to you, then will you be against it. So you need to learn about this product here and the effects Now this is called cannabis, is what people call it, or they call it marijuana.